Welcome everyone to TAC Talk. I'm your host Nadira Nazir. My guest today is Arshad Khan. He's a multiple award-winning filmmaker, film festival director, film educator from Canada. He's born in Pakistan and now living in Canada. Khan believes in cinema as a catalyst for change. He makes film that shed light on subjects that are ignored by the mainstream media. Abu is his first feature documentary and has already won awards and critical praise around the world. Abu is a journey concentrating on the tension between father and son over a growing religious and cultural abyss, and focus on Arshad Gaines. Through a tapestry of narratives composed of family footage, observation, and classic Bollywood film, Arshad Khan takes the viewer through the tense relationship between family and faith. Welcome, Arshad. Good to have you.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about, let's go back to the beginning. How and why did you decide to do this documentary, which is a really, really hot topic within the Muslim community?
My film's called Abu, which means father. And after my father passed away in 2011, I was very shaken. And I didn't understand why, because I had a very difficult relationship with him. But for his memorial in 2012, I was making a video, and I realized that we have a huge, huge wealth of family footage. And my family were one of the first people in 1981 to get a VHS movie camera. And so I was looking at all that footage, and I was in film school in Montreal, and I realized that there's such wealth of audiovisual material that I have. And I thought, why don't I examine my relationship with my late father? So that's how the idea came about, and I started working on this project.
So you mentioned that your family was one of the family in Pakistan who owns a camera recorder back in the 70s. So there was
81.
There was a lot of footage, a lot of videos. What was the task like to go through all of this footage, and how do you choose which one to put in the documentary?
Yeah, so that was a very tough job. It was a huge task because I decided to make a film examining my relationship with my father, and it just became bigger and bigger, as people got interested in the film and I got collaborators, I got some funding. The project became much bigger, and going through family archives, we had mini DV tapes, high 8, VHS, iPhone. I had all kinds of footage, and I went through it with my editor, who's just a genius, Etienne Gagnon, and and I had very good collaborative partners. My writing partner, Matt Jones, and Shelley Tepperman is my story editor. So I got together these people and worked very collaboratively, very closely with them, and it took a long time of research and writing and rewriting to massage the story out, of all this material that I have. So and there's some things that I just couldn't get, so I used the help of animation and Bollywood and Hollywood clips to make a really entertaining film. A film that's not at one side educational, but also entertaining and sincere.
So what was your favorite moment in that documentary? What is it that really you look at just kind of bring tears to you or joy?
So making a film is a difficult task anyway. It's a very difficult form of art, and it's very engaged, very involved. But making a very personal, deeply personal film like the one I made is really like a whole other level of hell. So it took a long time to, as I said, to write and rewrite and make the film. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. People are loving it. It's winning awards. People are really relating to it, because I'm talking about things that we don't usually hear at all in our media, especially in South Asian media. And only now those conversations are starting.
Okay. So you are a gay Muslim growing up in Pakistan. That must have been very, very difficult. I take it it's still very difficult today. How was some of that discussion and journey with your parents as you realized that you were gay and coming out?
So that's a very difficult thing for any person to confront their sexuality, especially when you're you're from a society, in a community which is highly homophobic and very ignorant about LGBTQI issues. So I use my film to tell the audience about that struggle, and a lot of people are not aware. And the idea is to help. I wanted to make a film that would help others like myself and also people of our community and other communities connect with their family and with their past. And I wanted to tell the story of struggle, of my struggle with my sexuality and my faith.
I guess starting to normalize that conversation and to make it okay to speak and to be yourself. And religious, being a Muslim, is very difficult, right? And I know your parents became very religious when they moved to Canada. How was that for you? How did that kind of change the relationship with your parents?
Migration is very hard. Migration is very difficult. And when people come here, they often bring their hopes and dreams. And I don't know what they're thinking when they come here. They think that life would be amazing, but life isn't amazing. Life is hard when you come here as an immigrant because there's the culture shock. You're in a new place. And then also there's the lack of opportunity for a lot of immigrants. They don't easily get into the mainstream, and especially if you come and live in a suburb like Mississauga or other suburbs that are not like downtown, it's harder because you end up often meeting the same people, or really like you cannot, it's not cohesive to multicultural, interaction.
Mm-hmm.
The suburbs are alienating. You always have your car, you always have your house, it's separate, it's always compartmentalization, and you end up with the same Pakistani or Muslim people, and you end up associating only with them. My parents were very open-minded when we were in Pakistan, and they met all kinds of people, but when we came to Canada, they became quite insular, because there's this like protectionism that comes into you. And then my older brother, for example, started dating a white Canadian, and that sent my parents into a panic that, oh my God, their generations will be lost. But when you come to Canada, you have to understand that your children are going to try and make it here for themselves, and often immigrants don't understand that. So my film is also talking about this fact, how hard it is for another generation, for certain people of a certain age to integrate into Canadian society.
So what would be your advice for new immigrants that are in this country, coming to this country new? What could they do differently to help integrate with the Canadian culture?
So the purpose, as I said, of my film is to help people understand themselves and not forget who they are, and also understand that insecurity is only going to make trouble for you. You have to be secure with yourself, and you have to keep your values close, and basic values of love, understanding, patience, and education. Those are the values I really think that need to be instilled in your families when you come to Canada. And you have to take advantage of the education system here, for example, and educate yourself. That's how you meet new people. That's how you interact with Canadians. And there's so much to learn for people like from South Asia, India, Pakistan. When they come here, they can learn so much. And one of the most important things they learn is that our borders are so arbitrary. Over here, nobody sees you as Indian or Pakistani or Caribbean or whatever. They just see you as a brown person.
That's right. If you're brown, you're brown.
You're brown, exactly.
That's right.
Especially if you have any kind of relation to South Asia, they see you just as like that, So here you come here and you realize there's a much bigger family of South Asians, brown. You can connect on many different levels, and you realize this India-Pakistan thing is so absurd and so nonsense. But only when you get out of India or get out of Pakistan do you actually realize how similar people across the border are. So that's one of the things that my film also discusses. It's about reconciliation between father and son, between India and Pakistan, between East and West.
Sitting across from you right now, feeling very proud, somebody like you, Muslim, I'm Muslim as well too, had the courage to come out, not only to come out to his families and friends, but also to document it and to share it with the world. That takes a lot of courage. That takes a whole lot of courage to be able to display your journey with your dad, to display the family interactions, to display your even sexuality, coming to terms with it and accepting it. Very proud of that. Let me ask you this, what kind of support have you been receiving from family and friends?
Well, the thing is, growing up, you you hide yourself in who you are, especially if you live in Pakistan, and who you choose to love, and you grow up, but you also recognize the sacrifices and the strength of people around you, like your sisters, your mother, other people, and women are really heroes in our community because they go through so much that we just never recognize. So, I had good role models, a lot of strong women in my life as well. There was a lot of love and understanding. My older sister was very, very a big help. And, so you get the encouragement from family. And also, when you educate yourself, it opens your mind so you're able to cope with different situations in a better way. So I did not set out to make a film about myself, really. I set out to make a film about my father, but I just couldn't extricate myself from that story. I had to put myself in it in order for it to make sense and for it to be relatable to people. So, the courage came after a long time. I was very nervous about how people are going to watch the film, how are they going to perceive it, what they're going to think of me or my family. But knock on wood, so far everyone who's seen the film has really loved it. They've been really encouraging. I get messages from all over the world. The film has been running, has been screened around the world for over a year now. And so it's been very encouraging to hear the messages of hope and love and how much people across the board, not just South Asians, any religion, any culture, are relating to the film.
I have to say, probably our viewer out there who's watching this is probably cringing. That's honesty, right? There's probably a lot of Muslim gay out there right now who's looking at you and say, you know what, I'm proud of him. What is your advice to our viewers that are Muslim gay for them not to be afraid to come out?
The thing is, I don't think in today's society, when people see someone who's gay or lesbian or transgender, they cringe. I don't think so anymore.
Maybe for the Muslim community, I think that's still very taboo. I don't think it's openly spoken. And that's why your documentary is amazing, because it's opened up that conversation and that discussion.
Yes, but the fact of the matter is homophobia and fear of LGBTQI people is not a Muslim Islamic value. It is not a South Asian value. LGBTQI people have existed in North Africa, Middle East, South Asia, just like everywhere else, and they were respected before colonization, before Western colonization. There was there's Hindu temples with like depictions of all kinds of, for example, if you want to talk about sex, all kinds of sex, for example. And also, more and more people are understanding the fact that, love is love, and LGBTQI people, they watch straight stories and straight films all the time, and we relate to them and we enjoy them. So there's no reason why straight people can't enjoy LGBTQI films or understand, the emotions are the same.
Absolutely.
And so I think there's a huge change in the way people are perceiving LGBTQI people and the way that people are thinking of themselves who are LGBTQI, like if they're gay, they're feeling better about themselves all over the world because of the media, because of more normalization, more education about it, The fact of the matter is more, even in India and Pakistan, they're making more queer content, and I think that's helping people make it less taboo, because it should not be taboo. You should be able to be open about who you are, and you should be able to choose who you love and how you love.
Absolutely.
Someone.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Arshad Khan, filmmaker.
Losing weight and feeling fit is a simple 3-point process: diet, exercise, and a weight reduction supplement. VeggieSlim by Greenish is a Health Canada approved weight management formula that's effective, safe, vegetarian, and natural to use. Combined with the right diet and exercise plan, VeggieSlim will bring you back onto the path of healthy living.
And we are back with Arshad Khan, filmmaker of Abu. So Arshad, the first time you played the movie was in Mississauga, which I attended, and you grew up in Mississauga. How was that experience for you, a home sweet home experience?
The first time the film played, world premiere was at the LA Film Fest in Los Angeles. It was amazing. It was 2017 June, and since then it's gone to multiple festivals all over the world. And then when it played in Mississauga the first time was in August, finally, at the Cineplex in Courtney Park. And that was very sweet because, you know, I'm a Mississauga filmmaker coming back home, and people loved the film. They came and they, you know, hugged me and they thanked me. Mississauga audience, and I mean Brampton, Mississauga, Oakville audiences can really relate to the film because I mean, you know, I'm from here and I'm talking about Mississauga in my film in a very funny way. So I have this like love-hate relationship with the suburbs. So people have really enjoyed that, you know, and they've come out and they've told me that, oh my God, yes, the food tasting bland, that was the same thing we felt. Yes, the cold, oh my God, the cold, you know, so people can relate to the film in multitudes of ways.
That's
the
right.
film is about love and about being a migrant and how difficult that is, and about family and about friendship. It's about so much more than just the gay topic.
Because when I saw it, what resonated with me was, it was great to see a lot of all Indian songs. I loved it. This is what I grew up with. So I really loved that.
Yeah, you were saying you really enjoyed all
Yeah.
those songs, from Guide and all those other
It brought a lot of
iconic
great
films.
memories, a lot of great memories. And it's really wonderful to see that family unity, that love, right? Especially at the beginning in Pakistan and all the great times there. And then you guys transition into Canada where things change a little bit. And again, coming to a new country, integrating into a new country can be very difficult,
Yeah.
right? And also the tensions, the relationship, who you are, what you are, and that all documented in Abu. What kind of support have you been getting with the LGBTQ community?
So the film is really relatable to people across the board. From LGBT community, it's been a very good response. They have come and the good thing is they've brought their straight friends and allies and family. So for example, I was in Dallas at this film festival, and auntie came up to me and she said, "Waise to I agree with your parents, you know, they are right, but I understand your point of view also." So that's a big deal for like the 70-year-old auntie to come and say to me, you know.
That is massive.
Yeah, it's
you should get her
massive.
testimonial and put it on your website.
There's so
you
many.
should get a picture with her.
There's so many testimonials. If you go on the Facebook
Yeah.
Abu Movie Facebook page or my website abumovie.com, you see a lot of videos and testimonials of people who are just so thrilled to see honesty depicted, you know, because that's the thing, you know, when you depict sincerity and honesty, people connect to it, be it a television drama, be it a film, whatever, and then people can deal with the whatever subject you're talking about. Even if it's a subject they're not entirely comfortable with, they're still curious and they still, you know, understand it because I'm not exploiting anyone. I'm discussing subjects in a respectful manner, and I'm showing other sides of the story as well, not just my perspective.
And it's very personal. You actually literally open the curtains for everybody to see what your life was all about and that journey. And I'm sure a lot of your viewers will be very appreciative of that. You're becoming really a trailblazer,
Oh,
right?
thank you.
Absolute trailblazer. You mentioned about Deepa Mehta. So Deepa Mehta was involved in a documentary. So tell us how that came about.
So I worked on her film Midnight Children in the art department. And so when she saw a cut of the film, she called me and she said, "Arshad, take your director's hat off, put your actor's hat on, come to Toronto and let me direct your narration." Because narration is like the backbone of my film. It's a very important component. So I came to Toronto and she directed my narration. And you know, she's a actor's director, so she's very good. And that just getting the tone right, intonation proper, clarity, that helped the viewer. And so I get a lot of compliments about my narration thanks to her, because she was able to really pull out a good performance from me.
Excellent. So you did bring a trailer. So we are going to say trailer of Abu. Do you want to set this up for our viewer?
Yeah, no, the trailer is self-explanatory. I don't give away a lot of the film, as you know. The trailer is just a teaser for you to be intrigued enough to come and see the film. But of course, there's a lot more in the film. So yeah, go ahead. Show us.
Excellent. So let's show the trailer.
Migration is the hardest thing in the world. That and coming out. I spent a long time struggling for my father's approval. How did my once joyous and cosmopolitan father go from this guy to this guy? For years, I rejected Abu. I questioned his choices. I hated his judgment, even as I judged him back. I rebelled, ignoring the extent to which our lives were intertwined.
Islamabad was a great city to grow up in. There was no kind of fear in terms of security and safety. Moving to Canada or a migration for any person is never easy.
I wanted to be part of the country I lived in. I wanted to be Canadian, and they wanted to drag me into some semblance of Pakistani Muslim that they had in their mind.
Allah has appointed us in this world to do right things, and human beings are bound to certain rules.
The video captures the facade of happiness, but our sorrows remain undocumented. Could I love my father and could he love me despite our differences? I just needed to be understood.
So Arshad, let me ask you this. Where can the people watch the documentary now that they have seen a trailer? I'm sure their appetite is whet. They want to see, okay, I want to see this story. Where can they see it?
So CBC Doc channel, if you subscribe to that they have the film, they show it. It's a cable network. And then there's a 45-minute version also available on CBC Absolutely Quebec.
Okay.
But I prefer people watch the 80 minutes because that's the full film. And it's going to cinemas, it's going to schools, it's going to different cities across the world. You can just like the page, Abu Movie page on Facebook. I update it constantly, and also you can go to the website abumovie.com, and we always post where we're screening next.
Excellent. And for our viewers there, what we're going to do at the end of the show, so stay tuned, we're going to put all of this that Arshad say as to where and how you can view it, and also provide comments and support on Facebook. So Arshad, let's talk about sex education in school. What are your thoughts about the current curriculum of sex education, and how should that be changed now in the 21st century?
So the fact of the matter is that an education is helpful. It's important. It makes the world a better place. The only kind of person I can think of who doesn't want sex education is someone who wants to exploit a child or someone, because otherwise there's no reason to be against sexual education. It's like any other education. It's important to learn about your body, know about your body. Also, my film deals with sexual abuse, childhood sexual abuse, and if you want to prevent that, then you have to educate your children. And I looked through the Ontario sex ed curriculum, and I realized that it's very age appropriate, and it's been written by teachers, by educators, professionals, and I really trust it. And I think it's a huge detriment in going back in time if you don't educate your children, because they've got the media, they've got internet, they've got on their phones, they can get into sexting or whatever, at a very early age, at a very inappropriate age. And so the sex ed curriculum is preparing your children for the future and for strengthening them. And I think it's imperative that you don't go backwards, but you move forward. And I'm a huge proponent of sex ed and of education, period, but sexual education is health education. So it's quite ignorant if you think that, because it's for your religion, you're not allowed. But religion is not ignorance. Religion teaches you to be informed. And so I think that my film is also educating people. Like if your child is over 8 years old, I encourage you to bring them to the screening, because they can understand the topics I'm discussing, and you can talk about it with your kids afterwards.
And the other thing too, this is how things change also now, is with the internet, the kids have access to anything and everything.
That's right.
So it's better to educate them on it rather than them self-educating themselves on things that may not be so appropriate or the right messaging.
Yeah, I have had cousins who've been married off, for example, and been taken out of sex ed courses in Canada, then sent overseas to get married, and they have suffered very badly. So, I mean, in Canada, we're so lucky that we have that platform available. We have really good schools and good education system, which, We don't have to do all the work as parents. You know, the education system can do that.
What is an appropriate age, you think, for a kid to have sex education?
Well, it depends on what you're teaching them. And as I said, the sex ed curriculum is very clear about it, at what age they're going to teach them what. Also, proper terms for the different body parts, you know, not just call it, you know, private parts. Say what it is. So that's important, and we have to get over our hang-ups and really call a penis, a vagina, and not call it privates and things like that. And you really need to remove shame from sex and sexuality, because your children should be able to tell you if they have had inappropriate contact or someone has been inappropriate with them, and they need to be able to come to you as a parent, and families should be able to talk about it. Because as I said, there's just innumerable cases of sexual exploitation or abuse. And when you don't educate your children and your family, you leave them up for exploitation.
Absolutely. And the reason why I asked this question, I don't know if you saw on the news a few days ago, there was an 8 or 9-year-old boy that came out to his mom, very proud, very happy, mom was supportive, went to school, told his friend about it, wanted some support. Unfortunately, got bullied and then killed himself 4 days later.
Yeah,
which is a very sad story. And that's why I'm asking the question, what is the right age about talking about sexuality? Because kids in school should be able to be more embracing of somebody having the courage to come out.
The fact is, children are not stupid. They're smart. And also they're different. All children are different. Some children are very fast learners. Some children are slow learners. Some children are more mature and can understand things and process them better. The parents know if their child is like that, and teachers know if their child is like that kind of a child, or if they're a precocious kid or what. So you cannot just blanketly say that, oh, this child, you know, that this is the age, you know. Teachers can tell. They can bring the child slowly, you know, into that. And that's why the sex ed curriculum I thought was very sensible, because they understand the level. You know, and parents can assess it if they like, but you know, I think there's a reason why we call them education professionals, and we should trust them. You know, we trust a physician, right, with our health, trust a mechanic with our car, because they're professionals. You know, we won't get our mechanic to give sex education to our child.
Absolutely not.
So,
no.
you know,
yeah, absolutely. I'm in agreement. Absolutely,
so, I mean,
yes.
we have a system of education, and we're very lucky this established system exists. So we need to respect it. We need to respect the different professions. As professionals ourselves, we need to understand our limitations, and we need to understand our strengths and other people's strengths in doing their job.
So Arshad, what is your advice out there to parents, South Asian parents, who typically want their sons or daughters to be doctors and lawyers and accountants? What is your view out there, or your message out there to those parents to allow their children to explore the entertainment side, the filmmaking side?
So the reason I became a filmmaker is because after 9/11, I realized that my identity is under attack as a Pakistani, as a Muslim, as a brown person. All of a sudden, like, there's this false label of terrorist attached, and I didn't understand why and how it could happen. Then I realized it's because our people are just not involved in the media enough. Our voices aren't out there enough. We're very segregated. Our TV shows are for us. Our films are for us, only our people, you know? So, and that way the other can dehumanize us and otherize us, you know? For example, in the West. That's why if you notice in my film, Abu, it's a very inclusive film. I made a film not only for our Desi people, but I made it for the Western audience also, for them to understand better who we are, that we are artists, poets, writers, and so on, you know? And so it's very important to have a voice. You know, you can't have all your children in medical and engineering or whatever. You know, you have to invest in the media, because the media is a builder of our reality. And if you don't have a voice, then you don't exist, or then you are easily dehumanized in the media and in the public, amongst the public. And we're a very misunderstood religion and culture already. So it's imperative that you encourage your children to go into media arts and to go into to make movies and to tell their stories, and we need to tell our stories ourselves and internationally so that others can relate to our stories the way we can relate to like a Titanic or whatever, like Western films, how we can relate to them. They should be able to relate to our films also, and it's happening slowly but surely. So it's very important that we encourage our young people to go into media arts.
So what you're saying is that we need more Arshad Khan out there, filmmaker. That's what we need.
No, we need
Absolutely. No, I agree. I 100% agree with you, because it is great to see somebody really living their passion, and you're also living your authentic self. And that's absolutely beautiful. You'd be surprised how many people out there is trying to conform to what society wants them to conform to, or what the parents want them to conform to. But it's really nice for you to be living your true self.
I did go through that. I was in pre-med, then I was in architecture school, then I was trying to do everything to please others. And then I found my calling in cinema. Then I went to film school and actually did really well at Concordia in Montreal. So yeah, I think you should definitely, I would advise young people to just go into what they love, because that's what's going to sustain you.
So do me a favor, look into this camera,
Yeah.
and give a heartfelt call for all the Daisy out there that wants to be a filmmaker.
Do it. Become a filmmaker. Go into the media. Have a voice.
So what is next for you?
I'm working on a fiction film. I'm working on a fiction short film and on a fiction feature film now. It's a very exciting project, really fun project based in Canada. It's a love story and it's super fun. My films always deal with, they have elements of education and elements of fun. So.
And where can our viewer find out more about what you're doing, what's coming up, and how can they support you?
Yeah, so Facebook is a great way, abumovie.com or Arshad Films, also on Facebook, on Twitter, and on my website. So that would be great if you can talk about it, write about it. And I'm open to questions. If anyone needs any help, I'm always there for them. And yeah, let's build a strong community, a better world. That's why I became a filmmaker. I wanted to make this world a better and more informed place. And I wanted to show people that Muslims are not a monolith, Pakistanis are not a monolith. They have all kinds of ways of thinking, and they are good and bad just like anyone else, and that we have a great history of our appreciation of art and beauty, and we're lovers of beauty.
Excellent, excellent. Arshad, thank you so much for coming. And you are an absolute trailblazer, and you are amazing in having the courage to tell your stories, and that will give courage to all the conservative folks out there to come out and be themselves and live their authentic life. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I just needed to be understood.
Arshad Khan, someone to follow on social media, as he has opened the doors for so many of us conservative Muslims to have an open discussion about sexuality and religion, acceptance for who we are, and embracing our family members and friends that have the courage to live their authentic life. Please go watch this documentary, Abu, winner of 9 international awards, including recently Best Documentary at the New York Indian Film Festival. Thank you, Arshad, for joining us today, and special thank you to my sponsors. Fashion stylist Susie Tomasi. Her website is susieqjewels.com, and a portion of her sales proceed goes to the Women's Shelter. And my makeup artist, Anita Barji. She can be reached at 905-781-1544, or her website is beautybliss.ca. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Until next time.